You think about any leader you've had throughout your life, like a great teacher, sports coach, someone that you look up to, like a mentor. It's like that. They have rules and you happily follow the rules, so they never have to discipline you because you look up to them. You want to please them. That's the leader role. That's what I teach. Hello, welcome to the Bratbusters Parenting Podcast. My name is Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom and I'm also a grandmother. I am here with my daughter as usual, Amy, and she does all my marketing, all my social media, and all my planning. The reason I say all that is she's far too modest to say how much she does. She's a huge part of this business. I couldn't run it without her. So thanks for being here, Amy, as usual.
Thank you. Classic mom just bragging about me.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And by the way, I never know what's coming. I like to work. I just can't plan anything out. I don't work that way. So I never know what we're going to be talking about. So what is today's topic, sweetie?
So today we're going to be talking about, do both parents need to be leaders?
Oh, didn't we already do that?
No.
Or I just talked about it somewhere. I talk about it all the time. So
yeah,
good one. Okay, so do you want to just start the questions or do you want me to do a little intro kind of thing?
Well, it's funny you say good one. It was your idea.
Was it?
We brainstormed like last week.
Oh,
Great idea.
That's why it was so, that sounds good. Because it was, we were discussing podcasts and I brought it up. So I thought we'd already done it. Okay. Well, this comes up a lot in coaching. That's why I would have mentioned it, although I forgot I mentioned it. Okay. So do both parents need to be leaders? Absolutely not. Only one needs to be a leader and the other one has to back them up or use them as leverage. Like, for example, if let's say the mom is the leader and then the dad's with the kids and they're acting out, the dad can literally say, do you want me to tell mom? He's still on the same page and he might not want to be a leader. Not everyone wants to do this. But when I'm coaching, oftentimes the parents both start out fighting over who has to be the leader. Then by the time we're finishing up in sessions, they'll fight over who gets to be the leader. They understand the leader is the prized role. That's the one that the kids are going to tell you. They're going to tell you everything right through the teen years. And it's sort of easier when you're the leader because you never have to threaten with anything. They just respect you. And it's mutual. Give respect to get it. So no, it's okay to both be leaders, but you don't have to be. And there's always a stronger one than the other anyway. There's always one sort of that's a little bit more the leader than the other. It's just a natural thing. It's a personality trait often.
What do you think's going through parents' minds at the beginning when they don't want to be a leader?
When they don't want, because they think that it's all about discipline. It's mean. Such a good question, actually. Yeah, because they think, I don't want to be the meanie. The leader is usually the more fun, goofy one too, because you've got more time to be fun and goofy because the kids don't act out around you. So yeah, it's the prized role because you're the one who tends to get the closest to the kids. Doesn't mean they love you more, but they tend to be closer to the leader. You think about any leader you've had throughout your life, like a great teacher, sports coach, someone that you look up to, like a mentor. It's like that. They have rules and you happily follow the rules, so they never have to discipline you because you look up to them. You want to please them. That's the leader role. That's what I teach.
Okay. Would you like to get into the questions?
Of course. Go from there. Of course.
Okay. So the first one is Selma from Australia. Our daughter is a few months from being 3 years old. She has always preferred me for comfort and aid in daily tasks and play as her father travels for work monthly, and I think she's more attached to me. It causes a lot of tension between my husband and I as he feels rejected and says I am too soft towards her. That's why she favors me. How should I change my behavior so that she will include him?
Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at your mic. Is that going to fall off there?
No.
Okay, we've got this ongoing thing since she was a little kid. She used to be able to pour milk into a glass and it had the tension bubble. And she was a clumsy kid. And we'd always laugh because she'd fill the milk up and it had this tension bubble like this on top of the glass. And she'd carry it like that and she never spilled a drop. If you saw the way her mic is balanced...
Well, we're real professional here. I've got it on a Pictionary box. So.
And I've got mine on a
apples to apples.
Apples to apples game box. Yeah. So anyway, the question was, okay, what I would do is when dad comes home, you disappear for a while. So of course she's going to want you. She's around, the kids are around you more. That's normal. Okay. So just disappear. I used to do that. If my husband traveled, then he came home after a week or so, I would disappear. I'd go out in the backyard and weed or do something or just go out, go to the mall or something. So yeah, disappear for a while and give them time to connect.
That's a good one. Okay. Next is Alejandra from the United States. My 2-year-old daughter always chooses my husband, even though I'm a stay-at-home mom. We have a lot of fun together, but I am strict and keep her behavior in check. When she cleans up after using toys, helps cook every meal with me, we read books, jump on bed, go outside and play. The issue is she doesn't miss me when she leaves to visit my mom. Only wants my husband and doesn't seem to be excited to see me. I understand I am her parent and have to treat her like my child, not my friend. But how do I change the dynamic to be liked more by her? How can I make it more fun for her during a downtime where she will be excited to be with me and wants me? She told my mom that all mama says is no, clean up, and she doesn't like it.
Okay, I'm sorry. How old was she? Just
2.
under 3. She's a few months under 3.
That was the previous,
Oh,
so
sorry.
this one is 2.
She's just 2. And she has the vocabulary to tell your mom that, okay. She's already told you what the problem is. You're not carefree enough. You don't play with her enough in her world. Let her be in charge of the play. Fun is their love language. And if you let them be in charge of that, and my kids could have told me whatever, when we were playing, they were in charge. Mom, hop on one foot. This is when I had the time to do it, right? So we'd have some playtime, and it was all up to them. So yeah, just find your inner child and play more in her world, letting her be in charge of the play. That might help.
Now, what advice do you have for parents who maybe didn't play as much when they were kids, or it just does not come naturally?
No, force it. Look at what they're doing and just join in, okay? And don't be on your phone. But yeah, you're just going to have to force it initially. It gets easier as they get older because they get more interesting. And also, you'll see the results of that will become worth putting yourself through the torture of playing hide and seek. This is one of my favorite stories with a client. The kid on the behavior board, older kids, the mom's rule was no yelling. And her consequence was she had to play hide and seek for 10 minutes. And the kid looked on the board and said, but how come your consequence is fun? He didn't get that was torture for the mom. But yeah, just force it for now. And eventually you'll reap the rewards of it and it will get easier.
So for 2, what did you do with us growing up?
Well, I did chase them around the house a lot with underpants on my head. I did a lot of skipping, singing. Like even if I was washing the dishes, I'd often be singing and they'd be singing along with me. So, and it was always stuff in their world, obviously. So yeah, do you remember when you were little what I did?
Too young to really.
She was too young. Yeah, just all silly. It was just silly. Nothing the least bit intellectual. Luckily, I'm not an intellectual anyway, so it comes easier to me. But yeah, it was all just silly, goofy stuff, chasing them around a lot. Laughing with them, they pick up on that. They know when you're enjoying them, and they know when you're pretending. So pretend to enjoy initially, and then once you start enjoying, as they get a little bit older, it'll come more natural. What makes you enjoy it is your connection with your kid. You'll just see a difference in them and the way they look at you and the way they treat you if you really do learn how to have fun with them. But I just watched what they did, and I kind of just joined in.
Do you find some parents are more inclined to kind of enjoy the toddler years versus the teen years? Like,
no. I don't think anyone ever says my favorite age is toddler and teen. Those are the 2 challenging ones. Toddlers are physical, teens are emotional. So toddler's my least favorite age. It's fine when they're home, but I found it just exhausting taking them anywhere because you can't take your eyes off them. There's not 1 second of relaxing. They don't want to sit in the stroller and they're up and they're walking and running around. You got to watch them like a hawk. Teens are my favorite age because I know how to relate to teenagers. So that is actually my favorite age. But I don't really talk to anyone who says that they like the toddler or the teen years.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. It's rare. Put it that way. It's rare. Yeah, the toddlers are more to be survived. And I guess the same with teenagers. So yeah, I think that's the way it's looked at. And I'm generalizing. Yeah, there's lots of parents who enjoy it. But overall, I would say those are the 2 least favorite ages with most parents.
Okay. I think we'll go into the next question. So Deanna from the United States. I have 2 children, 16 months apart, 4 and 3 years old. I have not been a leader parent up to this point, but I've been using your consequence system and feeling more confident. My current issue is my children losing it since I'm not responding to their demands. I'm sure that it will work itself out as we move forward. However, while it is happening right now, do you have a suggestion for another approach if I'm trying to ignore the tantrum? Should I leave the room and with them every time so not everyone is suffering through the chaos? My kids will literally weight their bodies down, so I have to throw them over my shoulder and football hold them while going into another room. definitely making it more difficult to ignore. And the other question is, my husband is not on board with this tactic currently.
Well, let's stop there, and then you can ask the second question. Okay. So you got a 4 and a 3-year-old, and they're not. You already kind of answered it. You said they'll get on board eventually. I think that's the thing, is you got to be willing to go through these storms. It's harder before it's easier, almost always, because you're changing who you are. You're not letting them get away with stuff. You're not letting the tantrums get any attention anymore. So they're adjusting. It's a transition. They're adjusting to your new leadership. So it does get harder before it gets easier. Now, I don't understand why you're taking the tantruming kid away. If I had a kid who was tantruming in a room and you've got another kid there, I didn't quite understand that. Why are you picking them up? Why do you need to? I can't really answer that, because I don't understand why you're picking up a tantruming child.
Well, then in that case, how about you just go through how you would handle it?
If they're tantruming, I just stand there and ignore them. I'm like filing my nails, and I'm just ignoring it. As soon as they're done, you all done? You want to go read a book? So I make it very clear that I ignore the crazy and reward the calm. A tantrum is not a big emotional damaging type of thing. It is a loss of emotional control and not getting what they want. You'd never validate that. You do not need to. You never should. If you validate that by giving it any attention whatsoever, it'll just get worse and worse and worse. It's a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. Doesn't mean that you ignore their big feelings and big emotions and all that stuff that's so trendy right now, but not when they're upset, like not when they're having a tantrum. No way. And also, when you're a leader and you play with them a lot, toddlers are meant to be happy, basically. They're not sort of wired to be miserable. They don't think things through a lot. And generally, sadness comes from thinking things through. Toddlers don't think a lot. Okay. They're more reactors. So they don't tend to have depression. And you look at a toddler, they don't tend to suffer from mental health issues, basically. I'm sure there's exceptions, but generally, they don't tend to suffer from that. So you don't need to have these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. I know it's trendy, but it's crap. It's absolute garbage. It doesn't work. What's the point? They don't need that. That's for you. That's not for them. They're about actions. So them watching you ignore the tantrum is the lesson. And they are going to get worse before they get better. You almost always.
I mean, these kids are 4 and 3, so they're not in the toddler years.
4-year-old. Oh, 4-year-old. Yeah, sorry, I messed that one up a little bit then. The 4-year-old, let me think. No, I'd still do the same thing. Even at that age, they don't tend to suffer from anxiety and depression and all that. It's kind of true even at 4. Plus, are you playing with them a lot? Are you playing with them together? I'm wondering what else is going on around that, because generally past the age of 4, still everything I just said kind of can work up to 4, but past the age of 4, they generally only do what works. So why are they still having tantrums? Are you playing with them in their world together, or are you doing one-on-one time separately with them? You don't do that. You play with them together. Show them how to have fun. But so everything does kind of apply. You're sort of on the border there. But they don't tend to suffer big emotions at that age. They suffer a loss of emotional control when they don't get their own way. Big difference between those two, by the way.
Now, just to clarify with tantrums, you're not talking about unmet needs.
No, there's 2 different types of, tantrums, not really, but if you're meeting everything I talk about with discipline is you're meeting their needs and you're managing their wants. The discipline is managing their wants. Sometimes their needs too. They need to eat, they need to go to bed. But a tantrum, if it's over a need, are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they sick? Then everything I just said about tantrums goes out the window. You meet their needs. So you meet their needs and then you manage their wants. Most tantrums are over the wants. They don't get what they want, usually. They want to stay up later. They want to eat cake instead of vegetables. You see what I mean? It's usually that stuff that they don't need. So and whenever we talk about tantrums, that's what I'm discussing. I'm not discussing a child's upset because they're cold and hungry and sick. You obviously know the difference when I'm talking about tantrums, I'm sure. I'm sure everyone kind of gets that. But good thing to point out, sometimes people don't. But what if my child's sick? I'm not going to ignore a tantrum, obviously.
You say obviously, but it might not be.
But still, you know what I'm saying. Meet their needs and manage their wants. I don't say that enough then. Meet their needs and manage their wants. Make sure that they're not sick, they're not hungry, they're not tired. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Meet their needs and manage their wants.
Are you happy now, Amy? Does that cover it?
Is that fine? Yeah, happy now?
Sorry, I'm trying to clarify.
Well, you should be. Okay. Jeez, Lou. Okay. Next. Wait a minute. The second question was about the dad.
Let's go back. So It says, any suggestions? My husband is not on board with this tactic currently, Any other suggestions besides results?
Cut a deal. Say to him, listen, I'm watching this, show me to him. He'll probably go, what's that stupid old broad knowing? But anyway, give him some background and say, I got lots of experience, right? I've been working with kids for 50 years. So just say, she's got some experience. I think we might be onto something here. I want to give it a go. Ask him to give you 3 weeks. And then if it doesn't work, then he gets to do it his way. Okay, 3 weeks. Just cut a deal. No, I won't go on about it. I've had clients who cut some pretty interesting deals.
We'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah, it's what are you going to give me if I do go along? You can sort of fill in the blanks there. Yeah, it's quite funny. Okay.
Well, okay, we'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay, awkward. Okay.
So Deirdre from Ireland.
Getting the giggles. Okay.
Any advice for getting a 2-year-old, 2 and 2 months, dressed who doesn't want to? She used to be fine when we would let her help her, but now she hates it. She screams and thrashes and pulls the clothes off as we were trying to get them on. She's quite strong when she's angry, so physically can't dress her if she's not on board. We would have to pin her down to do it, which we don't want to do, but also don't want to abandon it, so she thinks she's getting her own way by screaming. We give her 2 options of clothes to wear, but it's just no to everything. No amount of taking her into it works anymore.
Of course. I can answer this already.
We'll finish it though.
Okay.
2 more sentences.
I only needed the first sentence, but go on.
She's worse with my husband, so I end up taking over every time, which is not helpful either, I know. Tearing my hair out at this stage, she's just resisting everything we need her to do.
Yeah, you built that. You let her help before, so you let her be in charge before, and now you're trying to pull it out from under her. I never let my kids help with stuff that needed to be done because I knew what that was going to build. Like I would never let them buckle themselves into a car seat, because then they'd want to do it every single time and they'd have a tantrum when they couldn't. See what I mean? Don't let them be in charge of what needs to happen, only the play. That's why fun is their love language. They can be in charge of the play. You're just going to have to force her into the clothes now. You just say, okay, we're going to get dressed now, and then get her dressed. You got to win these battles. But you set that up. You gave her full control over helping and even choosing. You're even letting her choose. She's 2. Yeah. And now she doesn't understand why she's not in charge anymore. She was okay. It was okay for her to be in charge so long as she did what you wanted. But if she's in charge, she can also choose not to do what you want. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you set that up, and now you got to pull the rug out from underneath her and say, well, you're going to be getting dressed. Don't explain it. She's too little. Don't say, well, in the past, I might have made an error and don't talk like that. Just say, we're going to get dressed now, and never let her help or never let her choose an outfit. That's how you do that. I think it's great to give kids choices. Like, what do you want to play? Whenever we were playing, it was all on them. My kids were totally in charge of play. But pick where you want them to, what you want them to be in charge of. Do you want them to be in charge of bedtime, getting dressed, brushing their teeth, taking medicine? No, you take charge of that. Okay. What are you laughing at? She's smirking.
No, it's true now that you explain it, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, if you had just been like, you can eat whatever you want for dinner. Well, great. Yeah. I'm gonna have Smarties and
no, you can choose. The thing is that it often starts because they are choosing the right thing, because they don't realize they have a mind of their. They don't realize they can actually go against what's happening. Once they realize that, you've built it. You've built that mindset that, wait a minute, I'm in control here. So yeah, you have built that. Now that you know that, it's easier to deal with, right? So yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it makes total sense to me, because you've given her control and now she's doing what she wants.
This might be a good time to bring up it. How do I word this?
She's so cautious with her words. We could not be more different. I have no filter, blah, just vomit up whatever's in my head. And she always has to word everything just perfectly.
Well, it's not always perfect. But
No, I know that.
You may be like this with kids, but dogs, you let them run all over you. I just want to give the balance here, because I think that you're obviously giving parenting advice.
This comes up a lot. People say, I can't believe how much dog training this is. Which I get it. If you're a good dog trainer, it's all kindness and leadership, right? I get that. Now, I am really good with kids and teenagers, and I just get it. I've had, I think, including fosters, I think I've had 17 dogs throughout my life. And I am useless with dogs. They walk all over me. They're totally in charge. I have no control. Absolutely none whatsoever.
I'm just bringing it up just
so it's only kids. It's only kids. And plus, I also want to make it very clear, this kid stuff, this brings out my maternal side. That's where all this comes from. I'm very protective, very maternal. I love kids. I'm very driven. I almost get emotional talking about this, but my maternal stuff is what drives this business. That's why in my personal life, I'm a follower. I'm not maternal towards adults and my friends and all that. I'm very much a follower. My daughter can attest to this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even order in a restaurant without texting her the menu. What should I order? Like, I'm a follower. So this is only a maternal thing is what drives me. I'm useless with dogs and I'm not a leader at all. And I don't want to be. It's just with kids because that's what they need. And that's my thing, right? Is kids. So yeah, I'm useless with dogs. And they know it too. They know it. My old dog, he just died a couple of years ago. He was my last one. I got grandkids now, so I'm not getting another dog. I want freedom to babysit in daycare. So anyway, he got so bad that every time I'd even go in the kitchen, he was a tiny little thing and he never was demanding at all. But he just figured out, wait a minute, if I go in the kitchen and scratch her foot while she's doing anything, I'll get something. Sure enough, I'd get some peanut butter on my finger and he'd lick it off. Then I'd wash up and then he'd do it again. Ridiculous. Why would I do that?
He was
I would
the most demanding little boy.
But not initially. I had him for like 15 years. Sweetest little, quiet, never barked, sweet little, kind of dopey, wasn't the brightest bulb. But he had me figured out in that last year when he was a senior, and I felt sorry for him especially. But yeah, that's an example. Whatever he wanted, he got, whether I wanted to do it or not.
Yeah, he used to like hit me across the face to like get attention.
Yeah, that was when he was getting older, when he was little, because he was a street dog in Thailand. So he demanded nothing. He was just so thrilled he had a home, right? But then he got more spoiled and demanded. See, because I spoiled him.
But yeah, I just wanted to show the difference. And like,
there is a difference. So as tough as I talk with kids and how easy that is for me, I'm useless in every other department.
I think that's the point, is that because it does come easy to you, is that I want to show
not everything does, though, just kids. So it's not like everything, because sometimes people say to me, oh, well, you're just so smart and you just get it. And I'm like, yeah, just kids, though. Nothing else. This is the only place I really shine that just I feel is my calling. I've been volunteering with kids since I was 11 years old. I just always had this calling. So it's just, that's why I teach it. I truly believe I was kind of born to do this, to be honest. But anyway, and it was the teenagers that I was working with, the troubled teens. They're the ones who told me. They said, Lisa, you got to teach this stuff. Never really dawned on me until they told me that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so yeah, I'm not good with a lot of other stuff, just so you know.
So next question is Michelle from the United States. I recently married my husband, has 3 children from his previous relationship, 1 daughter who is 5 and 2 sons ages 4 and 2. They spend most of their time with their mother, who does not really discipline the children. Is being in 2 households with different parenting styles confusing for the kids, and will what we do have any effect on them since we are not consistently with them?
Yeah. The little one, I don't know about the 2-year-old. Anyway, okay, here's the thing. Children go to school. They go to grandparents. They adapt very quickly to where they are. They connect very quickly with the leader. And when they're little, they do adjust very quickly to your way again. They're very drawn to a leader, okay? So when they're 2, it's harder because they're just learning all this stuff. But as they get older, the leader is the one who brings out the best in them. Their self-esteem is at the highest when they're with a leader. So by the age of about 4, they tend to go everywhere with your leadership umbrella. In other words, how they are with the leader generally becomes who they are with everybody else. There's a few little differences there, but they usually do adjust back and forth, and there's not much you can do about it anyway, okay? Just set yourself up as a leader. Don't expect anyone else to lead those kids. That's up to the biological dad, obviously. And then you back him up. Set him up as the leader. You got to be careful with that, though. I don't know your role with them because they've got a mother, so you don't want to become the mother, obviously. You want to set the husband up as the leader and you back him up. So it's kind of, you don't want to try and become the leader and outdo the mom, if that makes any sense. Yeah, why am I saying that? Do you know why I'm saying that?
Well, it's I don't know, but I would feel like it's overstepping a little.
It is overstepping. And it's kind of awkward because I work with a lot of moms who have ex-husbands who have a new girlfriend or wife, and that wife tries to become, sometimes I'm hired by both families, by the way. So that's why I talk like this, because I want to make it very clear there is a biological mother and a biological father, if that's the case here. And then if there's other people involved, you want to back up the biological parent. You don't want to take the leadership role. That's my basic advice. So I don't want to go on too much about that because each family's different too. The other mother might not be a leader at all, and maybe the dad can't do it, so the stepmom has to step up and do it, right? So, but generally, yeah, I'm kind of careful with all that stuff because it can be confusing to kids. But they will adjust to the leader, and they will become who they are with the leader. That will become their persona, their personality, is who they are with the leader. Because you're the leader is the one who brings out the best in the kids. No one else can undermine that past the age of about 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have one final question. So Sandy from Canada. My daughter is 3.5 years old. I've been trying to implement a lot of your teachings, but I do still find myself having to repeat myself a million times. I'm also finding it very difficult because we live in a multi-family home, and I feel like she blows me off a lot because there are others who will give her what she wants. How do I manage your program with all of the extra noise and distractions?
That I can't answer that. Is it multi-family or multi-generation? Have you got other generations older who are undermining you? That's harder. If it was a peer, like let's say you're living with your brother and sister-in-law and their kids, then you could say, I'd be more likely to say, hey, look, I'm doing my best here. Please don't tell my kids what to do ever. Harder to say if you're living in a multi-generational home and you're not allowed to say that to the older. I deal with this a lot in coaching. So because I coach people all over the world. So a lot of times they say, well, I can't say anything to my mother-in-law. It's not done. So it's very tricky. That would pretty much be coaching if it's multi-generational and if you're not allowed to speak up to the older generation. You'd be surprised how often I deal with that in coaching. They'll say, no, I can't say that to my mother-in-law. I'm not allowed to speak like that to my parents either. So, which I totally respect. But yeah, if people are undermining your parenting, have a talk with them if you can. Say, look, I might be doing it all wrong. I'm doing my best. So, and then also the standard line I always use is if someone's undermining your parents, just say your parenting. You say to them, when you criticize or undermine or go behind my back in parenting, I'm doing my best here. It hurts my feelings. If they don't respect that, I can't help you. Someone said in a comment today, I just answered this. What if the other person says, well, you hurt my feelings too? Because oftentimes people will come back at you like that, right? And then I would just say, how so? So is it just payback? And then, okay, so I hurt your feelings too. Let's just agree to not hurt each other's feelings. So you have to have boundaries both ways. So, but yeah, if it's older generation and you can't talk to them, it's harder. Mm-hmm. It's harder. Yeah. I get this quite often in coaching. And I never get those. I always say, would your parents be willing to talk to me? And they go, oh God, no. Oh no, not in a million years. So, and okay. I respect that. Different cultures. I respect that. I have to work around that.
Okay, so that's the end of the questions. So overall, you don't think kids need more than one leader?
Absolutely not. They only need one. They only need one. It's nice if they have several, but they only need one. And there will be one clear one, and that's the one that brings out the best in them. It's not the one who spoils them. It's the one who brings out the best in them because their self-esteem does not come from getting their own way. That's the opposite. That kills their self-esteem. Their self-esteem comes from pride, and pride comes from being a good person. They pick up on that energy. They understand it without being able to explain it. But the leader is the one who gives them the most pride in who they are, and they like themselves the most when they have pride. So they're drawn to that leader. That's the thing. You're like a magnet. When you're a leader, you're like a magnet for kids. I remember a teacher once called me the Pied Piper. She goes, how do you do that? You don't even see them that often, these kids I was working with. And I didn't know how to explain it, but it's because I was a leader. And they're drawn to a leader. It's just a natural instinct for a child to be drawn to a leader. We are too as adults. We're very drawn to someone that we look up to, makes us feel good about ourselves, right? Anyone who makes you feel good, do you want to be around that person? Yep. Makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay. Do we want to wrap it up now, sweetie?
That's good.
Okay. Thanks so much for joining us, Bratbusters Parenting Podcast. This is Lisa and my daughter Amy, and we'll talk to you again soon. Happy parenting. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out bratbusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit bratbusters.com/disclaimer.